Okay, welcome to part 8 of our remaking of the KidsCanCode shoot 'em up. We're now on part 8 or 9, is it? Can't remember. 9. We're on the lives now, so that we're a couple of episodes behind this one because I've combined two together. So we're doing today's in C# and Monogame. So the code is available here on my GitHub repository, so I'll leave obviously that's the Monogame version. I'll leave a link in the description. So what we're doing this time is up to now we had a shield which got progressively lower as we were hit, and once the shield was gone, that was it, game over. So this introduces the concept of a couple of so you've got 3 lives altogether, and those are represented by miniature versions of the player displayed in the top right corner. So I'll play that through so you can see what it looks like. Let's hit the play button there. So you can see 3 lives in this top corner here, and my shield going down as I'm hit. And once I'm hit and my shield goes below, we lose a life. I can't fire bullets until I'm re-enabled, and you can see we've now only got 2 ships here. Let's just deliberately die. Down to 1 life, and that's it, game over. So we've got 3 lives. We don't need a separate class for the lives. We've only got a new routine in the main file here, but there are some changes to the player. So we've included now these values here. We've got a public static integer lives, which we've set to 3, so we have 3 lives. Then we've got a public static Boolean value called hidden, which is set to false. And then finally we've got a private static float hide timer, which is set to 0. So this is used to time our period of being hidden. Down at the bottom here we've got a new function, which is or I should say procedure, shouldn't I, because it doesn't return anything, but anyway, I call all my procedures functions because it's just easier. So we've got when we're hiding the player, we set the hidden variable to true, hide timer back to 0, and then move the player's rectangle to the middle of the screen but 200 pixels below it, so that we're below the bottom of the screen, so we're hidden. Then what happens in the update here, which of course takes delta time, is if we're hidden, then the hide timer, which started off at 0, is increased by delta time. Once it reaches the value of 2, which is of course 2 seconds, hidden is switched off, so we're no longer hidden, and the rectangle returns us back to middle of the screen 10 pixels above the bottom, so that unhides us. This could have been written as a function similar to the hide one. We could have written an unhide one, but it doesn't matter. You can do that for yourselves. That it does the job. So we're now hiding or unhiding, depending on what happens when we get hit. So let's go to the main thing here. So the draw function is the only time that is called. So let me just show you the draw lives. Okay, so draw lives is a new function we've written in the main file here, which is relatively simple. It's a simple for loop which runs depending on the number of lives that are left, and then it will draw the player image, which has been appropriately scaled depending on what scale value we send to it, and depending on the amount of lives left by the player. So we draw the player image, we set the position of it with a new vector 2 each time, moving it 30 pixels along. So it starts off I think it's 100 from the width, and then it increases in time, so you get 3 little images drawn one next to each other. That sets the colours and the scale, and then draws it. So that's relatively simple there, just in that one loop. We're basically just calling sprite batch draw and passing it everything here. To check how many lives we've got and how we're dealing with them, that's in the check mob player collisions. So if we get hit by a mob, the shield value drops, and if the shield gets less than 0, then instead of us saying that's it, we're done, all we're doing is to decrease the amount of lives we've got by 1. So we start with 3, then 2, 1, and obviously 0. Once the lives have dropped, the shield is restored back to 100, so that we've got another chance. And then we're checking whether we are now below 0 or not. If we're below 0, in other words all lives have gone, then we are playing the die sound as we did before, setting alive to false, and then playing the death explosion as we did before. If we if we're still alive, we've still got at least 1 life, then again we're playing the die sound and we're playing the death explosion, but we're then calling player.hide. So I think also we could have maybe, I don't like repeating lines here, this probably could have been refactored so that goes up. Anyway, I'll leave you to play with that. Same with this, with die sound, we're playing that twice, but maybe on the next video round I'll refactor this a little bit so that it's a bit tidier. But you can see what the idea is, that we're hiding if we've still got some lives left, otherwise alive is set to false. And then as before, depending on our alive state and whether the death explosions are playing or not, that's the end of the game. So this time we've just set it so that we are hiding. So as long as we're hiding, we're still alive, and we've still got more than one life there. Now shoot has been changed to accommodate this, because if we're hiding below the screen, we don't want to be able to fire bullets up and be hidden from the mobs because we're below the screen. So I've also added this allow bullet. Yes, we need to, are we allowed to fire a new bullet, and are we hidden? So it's if not, that's the exclamation mark, means not. If we're allowed to fire a bullet and we're not hidden, then we can shoot as normal. And then the draw function down here, draw lives, is what actually draws those on. So it passes in the width of the screen minus 100, which is the starting point, 5 pixels down, the number of lives the player has, and a scale factor of 0.2. So that draws the 3 miniature ships. As I did on the Love2D, just for fun, I'll change that to 0.5 and we'll rerun it. And you can see we've got 3 enormous ships there which are overlapping, a little bit too big. So let's change that back to 0.2, which worked quite well. So that's where we're drawing in the lives there. Was there anything else we needed to look at? Oh, the image. Yeah, we're using the player image, so we didn't need to do anything special with the images. In the Pygame version, we had to create a pre-shrunk, pre-scaled image, which was stored in another variable, whereas here we're just using the player image, which we've loaded in once, and we just scale it on the fly in the draw lives. Here that sends that scale in, and then when it goes to the this bit here, it actually draws the image at that scale factor, so it's done on the fly every time it's drawn. Okay, that's it for lives.